Hey guys, welcome back to Call of Duty Modern Warfare. Today we're going to be showing a little bit of gameplay here in the background. And I have to say that I do enjoy the game. Now, I know that's not the most popular approach to this, at least from some of my other fellow creators, but I can kind of understand why they're approaching things the way they are, because they're experienced Call of Duty players where I am playing this for the very first time. Now, I have to say that this does seem like it's a very popular game. Just getting started in the game and kind of just, making my presence here, it seems to be doing fairly well as far as your guys' reception. So let me go ahead and take a moment and welcome all of you guys here to the channel. And if you are a returning visitor, thank you guys so very much for your continued support. It is greatly appreciated. So here we are, we're on the Euphrates map that for me feels pretty decent. I mean, one of the things that kept me away from playing Call of Duty is that most of the maps are rather small, the lack of vehicles, but overall I have to say that if you're just getting started in the game, it is one of those where you can just fire up the game, get in there, and just enjoy the gameplay. And more specifically, I like that in Call of Duty, when you shoot someone, they actually die. One of the aspects to Battlefield, of course, is that you can get into these kind of lead dances that can take as long as even 3 seconds sometimes, depending on the situation and weapons and distance that you are in. Now, one of the other things that is curious about this game is the talk about skill-based matchmaking. This is something that is also very new to me, and based upon its description, and I totally understand the aspects and elements to it, but apparently it will match individuals based upon their particular skill level. And we saw, for example, Drifter and Exclusive Ace go into as best they could with the data that they had. Of course, the actual developers have their own dynamics, metrics, and telemetry to be able to go into how they set up their particular systems. As far as the lobbies that I have been in and the ones that I experience, it really varies, because once a round ends, I typically stop and then move the video off the main drive into the secondary drive. So I'm not continually staying in the particular lobby or in the particular matchmaking for each round of play. So if the matchmaking system is then attributing all these particular calculations based upon your previous gameplay or continuing gameplay, I'm not really sure how dropping out each round, as I often do, affects that particular system. The other thing too is oftentimes I play with my guildmates, and there might be as many as 6 or 8 of us playing together. So I'm curious how much of that affects the skill-based matchmaking also, because all of us are coming into the game. Now, of course, that's a lot of players to be playing in a particular round. That's almost as many as the entire round holds in some of the matches or rounds that are in Call of Duty. Another point of contention within the community is that of the minimap. And of course, in most first-person shooters, your minimap is going to contain all the information that you're going to need to know to give you awareness of the game. And in Call of Duty, not only do we have the minimap, but we also have the compass as part of the indicator of what's going on in the environment. And you can get a little distracted darting your eyes between one or the other, or trying to determine which of the two that you really want to focus on. Now, the compass itself, in retrospect, is really going to provide you with more of the information you need to know as far as where your enemy is and where gunfire is coming from. And the minimap is really just going to tell you where you are in relationship to your teammates, which is additional information which can be important to know essentially where the enemy isn't versus where the enemy is. Or in this situation, the enemy was behind me. We've not seen the development team address this particular issue specifically, either in a tweet or in a blog or, say, for example, developer notes. We do know that the community was kind of hinging their thoughts and anticipation from what the leaker was saying. Now, even though the leaker may be about 90% right in most cases, we have seen most recently, particularly with Joe Csot, saying that no, this is not going to happen, or no, that's not going to happen based upon what the leaker has said. So even though the community was leaning towards a change to the minimap, we have not seen anything from the development team that indicates that it will be reverted back to what most Call of Duty players are accustomed to. An aspect to the game that we see changing on a regular basis per update is that of footsteps. Now, you have to keep in mind here that the adjustments are very incremental because the development team has to take into account all the ambient noise that's going on around your player character. And even though we saw Exclusive Ace do his pre-patch and then post-patch footstep sounds, we have to keep in mind that he was on a private match where there wasn't a whole lot of ambient sound going on around him. Here on the Euphrates map, of course, there is a ton of ambient sound going on all around you, as most of the fighting is taking place outdoors. So you don't necessarily have to be overly concerned with going into a building and then anticipating someone coming around a particular corner. And of course, when you are playing on those maps that do have a lot of buildings, you then have to be concerned about claymores and bouncing betties around any and all of the corners. So that's something, of course, you have to kind of anticipate and be aware of. But out here on the Euphrates Bridge, you have a little bit more of a luxury of running around, running, gunning, without being overly concerned about footfalls. One of the things that really stands out for me in Call of Duty is team play and squad play. There doesn't seem to be a lot of communication with the teams as far as like there isn't any way to ping where an enemy is. There's no way for me to tell my teammates or squad mates where an enemy is. And when I am playing ground war, I don't see my squad really indicating that, hey, we're going to go to this flag or we're going to go to that flag. There's no way to mark a flag and say we're going here, we're going there. Now, that doesn't prevent someone in the squad from saying, hey, let's go to A flag or B flag or C flag. But Call of Duty really does feel like it's a very solo-ish style of game. Now, I'm not issuing that as a form of criticism about the game because there is a lot of dialogue that's going on within the game. You're being told where enemies are, what flags are being lost, what particular kill streaks are being deployed, and so you have all of this information that's going on, letting you know what's going on within the environment, which kind of takes away from your squad having to let you know where a particular enemy are or what the particular situation is that's going on around you. Overall, my experience with Call of Duty has been a rather pleasant one. Now, I can totally relate to many of the veteran players when it comes to how they feel and their concerns about the direction of the game. I still feel that perhaps Activision approached Infinity Ward and said, hey, can you deliver this model for us? Because they're going to want to pick up players from Battlefield, from Apex Legends, from Fortnite, Rainbow Six, and other types of first-person shooters because, of course, this time of year, people are going to be buying new games and there's going to be a whole new influx of potential players. With the holidays just around the corner, this is going to be a huge opportunity for many of these game platforms to try to bring newer players into their games. And on that note, guys, I want to thank all of you for your continued support here on the channel covering Call of Duty, particularly those, of course, who are on DTube and BitChute. You guys are always welcome to give me a follow there. And, of course, if you haven't already, appearing right there on the screen, that would be the channel icon. Click on that to subscribe to the channel as well as notifications. That way you guys will have all the latest information out of Call of Duty Modern Warfare.